Previously on Kimba TV. Right, and we wanted the long 85. That was December. So if you want to know the 105 to 85 narrative, then you want to get caught up on the December highlights. Alrighty. If you don't know why we started to aim for lower than 85, then you want to watch the January highlights. And then the February highlights, like for example, end of January, we were already talking about February should be bearish. Alrighty. And then February, it's really just all about, I don't think we should long 85 anymore. It's probably going to go lower because everybody and their grandma's going to try to long 85, 82. Let's wait for them to get stopped out and then we go in. Hack Dog, thank you for the resub. 20 months. Yo, how we doing? All right, let me load up the chat. How many of you guys got both of the streams from yesterday? Did you know that I did a surprise Sunday morning stream yesterday, and then I did a surprise evening Sunday stream last night when ETH came back. So, I mean, for me, I think we're pretty well prepared. So definitely make sure you get caught up, but if you want like quick little recap, I mean, you're gonna have to know like what we talked about yesterday. Let's make it pixel perfect. So yeah, you're gonna kind of have to be caught up from yesterday, but I mean, we talked about how, first off, how many of you guys remember 96.1, the golden line? You know that's gonna be like a level of resistance or something that we would want to get turned into support, right? So like that's kind of resistance and level to level. So I mean, obviously like the red levels don't hold that much weight anymore. As the sweep levels to the downside are kind of irrelevant, right? So we can take, because we're going up now, so we can take the red off. We can take that green sweep off, right? We did a perfect back test, right? So really, and then we're going to take this green line off, right? So all the bearish shit, like all the sweep levels are gone. It's just point of controls and golden levels and our blue lines. So if you kind of clean that up, that's it. You know, maybe somewhere like here, if you want to look for a long. And maybe you get like a weekend high clean short before. But you know me, like I'm bullish and I'm gonna try to get all the way up until 130. So and then like I think what like we talked about yesterday, today is gonna be another pop quiz about RTH. It's not really so much about ETH like we talked about last week on Thursday or even on Friday. It's all about RTH for me. So 93.9, so it's gonna open like around here. So yeah, like I don't think you want to go any lower than 382. Maybe like this back test. But that's about it. Something like that. Just basically a continuation of what we talked about yesterday. And you can kind of see how all the levels pixel fucked, including that green line that we just deleted. Like a whole ETH gap fill. So this is what I would go with. Because I think some people like really get confused. There's two types of gaps. There's a gap that happens on ETH, and there's a gap that happens on RTH. For those of you that have seen many ETH gaps, and mainly ETH gaps can happen when Sunday ETH resumes, and every day when Macaulay Culkin hour is done and ETH comes back. For those of you that have been playing and watching the ETH gaps, would it be fair to say that the ETH gaps are not as reliable as RTH gaps? This is where your own experience and your own sort of sample size would come into play, because your subconscious bias is going to affect that. Okay, but for those of you that have been watching the post Macaulay Culkin ETH gap, it's a lot of times that'll just fill the whole thing, and it's not easy to play the dip the tip. Would that be fair to say or no? Some people maybe agree with me. Some people maybe haven't seen enough to agree with me. But from my experience, the RTH gap play is more significant than the ETH gap play. I don't sit there, like a lot of times I'll leave before Macaulay Culkin ETH resumes, right? Like I might kick it with you guys for 30 minutes of Macaulay Culkin, and maybe sometimes I'll stay all the way through Macaulay. But if you've been paying attention, you'll know that the ETH dip the tip is harder to play and it's less reliable. Because why? Why would you think that ETH gaps are less reliable or harder to play? Why would you think that? It's less volume. There you go. Y'all get it? So there's two things that you have to understand, okay? There's the difference between an RTH gap and an ETH gap. All right? There's an ETH gap fill and go, and there's an RTH gap fill and go. Alrighty? So this is your ETH. Okay? Like when RTH opens, the RTH is going to open wherever, right? This is the gap from 84,945. ETH has already kind of done its thing. Okay? So the gap for ETH versus RTH is going to be a little bit different. What I care about is RTH gap. Okay? So I don't care during ETH if there is a gap or not. That gap is not what makes it bullish for me. And it never will. Okay? I wait for RTH, and this is what you want. This is the RTH dip the tip and go. All right, so that's everything that we talked about yesterday. So I don't want, just like how the RTH gap was just a dip the tip and go, if you're bullish, that's what you would want in this situation. So closing the whole gap, you would lose all bullish edge. So yeah, you wouldn't want to go to 85. You would lose all the edge. So what you would want is, if it does pull back, do a partial, but eventually get the fuck out. And you're going to be able to count how many 30-minute candle closes, opens, and closes. So you know what would be dope? Like if you were going to look for a long, it opens, right? Just like this. It opens, it dips the tip, and then it goes out. So, like nothing changes. I think if you don't know what you're doing, then you might have failed the quiz on Friday. But this is literally what we do every single time on RTH gap. Sounds good? So yeah, like I would not want the gap to get filled at all. I just wanted to keep going. How we doing? Erudri says, I'm new on exo charts. What happens now since not all longs got stopped out? It doesn't matter. Yeah, so for like, are you caught up on yesterday's plan? So I already identified the level. And I told you what kind of divergence to look for. Yeah, I wouldn't get too caught up on like, are the longs stopped out? Are the longs trapped? Are the shorts? It shouldn't impact what you're gonna do, but it's always something to keep in mind, and you adjust your probabilities of success. Yeah, so right now we just finished the first 30-minute candle close. Do you see this? Hold on. So we drew this in the morning, right, chat? How many of y'all were here? So I would like to tap that level and then get bottom shorters trapped and stop all the longs out. You know, but if you don't understand these things, then make sure that you nerd out. I'm just playing everything by the book. I always do things by the book. Big, or homie in the morning called it strong. I'm strong, you strong, but bear div, 100 mil in top long. 22, 26, 14, 28. 27 already got stopped out. You know, so here. 69 million still open. Into a hidden, into a bear div. Ain't that some shit? And then I believe like 1,200 Bitcoin long right here on Bybit BTC USD. So even more. 874 Bitcoin here, almost pixel bottom. And then 610 Bitcoin on this candle. On probably like the bullish REIT on the golden pocket is what I would assume. So yeah, I mean, all we would really need is cooperation from S&P, and failed auction would come into play. This is the level that I'm looking at on CME, the 89,140. And then obviously, you know, you've got the entirety of, you've got value area low, and you've got the ETH gap. All right. Do you understand that that kind of question is not what you want to ask, Bulgarian? Do you know what you want to do? A better question? You want me to help you out? What levels getting lost and how would increase the chances of going to 77? You see the difference? What would be certain data points or thresholds or milestones or trigger points that would make the probability of 77 go higher? 85 getting lost, you got to be more specific than that. So you're telling me, Bulgarian, that if 85 swing fails, okay? So you're telling me that if 85 it does this, okay, and Trump tomorrow says we're going to start buying $2 billion every month, and there's 100 million in bottom shorts here, that it's bearish? So 85 getting lost, that's your trigger? So if we lose 85 and it's a swing fail and Trump says that the government is going to start buying $2 billion worth every month for the Federal Reserve, and there's also $150 million in bottom shorts trapped, you wouldn't say that is bullish? Who gives a shit about the levels? Who gives a shit about levels? Isn't it data and structure? So the point that I'm trying to make, brother, is one, don't let's not even waste our time with what's the probability of 77, 69,420%. Okay, 69.42%. But instead, how about we identify levels to the downside, levels to the upside, and we look at the data when we get to those levels? Why don't we look at the structure when we get to those levels? Like, I'm not smart enough to be able to give you the answer of what the probability of 77 is. I'm a retail trader, my guy, but I think I'm pretty good at identifying levels. I feel like I'm pretty good at memory recall, and I feel like I'm pretty good at pattern recognition. And combining all three of those elements, I'm going to put together a probability or a risk profile. And if it's something that I already anticipated and prepared for, and not just reacting in the moment of, then I will execute. Does that make sense? So that's why I always harp on identifying levels and then having your own, okay? I have my own, but you should have your own ways of identifying edge. Alrighty, so clearly the statement, if we lose 85K, it's bearish, is not entirely accurate, right? It depends on the data. It depends on structure. It depends on how we lose it, right? For example, if we get to 85K and these motherfuckers still have not stopped out, then that will be something that adds to the probability that it's bearish and we're going to go to 77, right? If we get to 85 and we don't have any bullish structure, like a swing fail or a failed auction, right? If there's no bottom shorts, then it's not bullish, right? You know what would be hella funny? If people long 85, right, Bulgarian? And then they immediately are underwater. Then I would think we're going to go to 77, if not lower. And if you understand RTH concept, is it going to, do you want to long 77.9 or do you think you want to aim for lower? Understanding RTH and ETH gap concepts that you could just fucking Google and figure out for yourself. Do you want to long 77.9 or do you think it's going to go lower, my boy? Because you keep talking about 77, but if we're talking about bearish, it's going to go to 72, which is the number that I originally wanted to long in the first place. Goddamn. Like, we have no. So do you see this, Bulgarian? Do you see what? I keep telling y'all, man, yesterday, today, tomorrow, these are all going to be CME gap play quizzes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all going to be CME gap quiz test time. How well can you play this shit? Okay. Do you understand that there is an RTH gap? Okay. So just like this, okay, the easiest long would be this. Yes or no? I feel like we just went over this. So how funny would it be if all these top longers get stopped out and the gap dip the tip and then rip goes? Like on Friday, if it doesn't dip the tip and instead starts to spend time, then what the fuck does that mean? RTH gap fill. Okay? And then when it's the RTH gap fill, what if it does this? Which is why we were talking about a swing fail there. So, like, I think too many of y'all are getting into this, like, let's try to predict the future. Like, I can't do that. If you can, God bless you. Okay? This is the best that I can do, chat. I know how to play CME gaps. I know what's supposed to be bullish. I know what's supposed to be bearish. I've got levels. I've got fibs. I've got VWAP. This is all I got, chat. 17 or something on the first long. Now we're in the short. Any questions? Everything planned out? Ladies and gentlemen, not too difficult, huh? So hopefully you guys understood everything that I was saying about the difference between ETH and RTH gap. And like I said, first thing in the morning, and even yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, it's all just a pop quiz on what you know. So no real surprises. Everything is pretty mathematical, ladies and gentlemen. We had the scalp long. I think we got stopped out for like 16.5K, something like that. We got into the short, everything planned about and talked about, entries, stop loss, TPs. All right. If you missed any of those things, exclamation YouTube, make sure you get caught up. Any questions? You guys okay? Let's get it. Pretty straightforward. Can't lose, ladies and gentlemen. Not too bad, huh? All right, let's keep an eye on S&P. We got 40 minutes until U.S. markets close, and then I'm out of here tomorrow. I don't know what tomorrow's schedule is going to be like. I think I'll show up early, and I probably have to dip. Actually, I might just show up late tomorrow, to be honest, because I already have contractors and people showing up around 7:30 in the morning. Oh, wait, no, I'm tripping. 7:30 means 10:30 New York. So yeah, I will be here in the morning. Any questions? JV says no positions are opening. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're looking at CME or if you're looking at like a derivative exchange, but Fran, what's going on? Joker, what's going on? Shay's Anatomy, what's going on? You guys okay out there? What do you guys think about today? Not too shabby. Omarzo says, are we still watching for the reaction at value area low before we set our eyes on 72K? I don't, like, did you understand what I was saying all this morning? Like, this is bearish, right? We were talking about, don't be mad at me if we take the scalp short, right? Where's the RTH? There you go. Right? RTH. Like, it should have dipped the tip and it should have left. Just like that on Friday. Okay? This is exactly why I waited until RTH on Friday. Some of you guys got really confused about ETH not filling the gap. I don't care about ETH not filling the gap. I only care about RTH. This is when I got bullish. I don't get bullish on this. And you're basically seeing why ETH and the difference between ETH and RTH. Yeah. So, like, this is bearish. And I'm going to be, like, I'm waiting for value area low, right? And the value area low is going to close the RTH CME gap. And if you close the gap, you lose all bullish edge, right? Omarzo says, so the value area low reaction doesn't really matter then? I doubt it. I don't think so. Yeah, no, it's fucked already. Yeah, can we give it up for useless lines though? What do you think about these useless lines? And are these like round numbers or are they like exact, like $85,159.90? How many of you guys were here in the morning when I deleted the stuff that we didn't need and kept the ones that we needed? Yeah, so in my opinion, Omarzo, this is looking not Gucci. Tuesday, we can set like another low, you know? So the only other thing that I could maybe think of in terms of like a bullish scenario, Omarzo, is we lose the 77 gap, right? It goes to like 72, 73, 74. I don't know. And then... we have like a nice little rally. Trump talks about, like, it was confusing because PBS on their website said he was going to do the congressional testimony today. But it was just a fucking TSMC circle jerk. So, maybe, I don't really know. This is why, like, I don't really give a shit too much about news, you know? I feel like we put a little bit too much emphasis into Trump, but... so maybe I like lows to be set Monday, Tuesday, right? So 72 low, You know, Trump has his announcement tomorrow, and then we go. And like I said, like this is already kind of higher time frame bearish, unfortunately. So I would actually be thinking about shorting like 95, you know, or 92. Even if I had the long from 72. And obviously, I'm not going to like commit to anything. It's level by level, and the data is the data, right? But this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. So we'll just have to take it bit by bit, but, it might look bad right now, but 200 million bottom shorter comes in and hey, it's going to look fucking good. You know what I mean? So we're just going to have to take it level by level and continue to monitor the data. As of right now, this is fucked. Stop the music. Pumper Dave is asking, could I look for a bearish retest at the golden pocket around 89? It depends. Are you approaching 89 after it cleans with a swing fail and bottom shorts trapped? Or you're talking about going up there and keeping the lows like that so you actually have a chance to clean it? Doesn't it depend? Do you understand why it might depend, brother? As long as you understand why I drew it like that, then you're good to go. We're not really in the business of predicting the future, right? But do you have edge to take that short? Yes or no? That's what I would ask yourself, Pumper Dave. But it would be different if the low is bad or if it actually gets cleaned up, yeah? And doesn't it depend if like there's bottom shorts trapped? Because Pumper Dave, let's say that it does this, okay? And you have $100 million in shorts trapped, or even $50 million in shorts trapped here. Okay, and then we go up here and these guys still haven't closed. Would you short that? Would you short that, Pumper Dave? And there's really no right or wrong, but I don't think that's a high probability short. So if I was going to short, I would want to leave some single prints. You know, if I was going to short, I would want all. So like if all the shorts get stopped out and we do this and we leave a little bit of single print behind, fuck yeah, let's do it. So, you know what's really cool? I bet you guys knew the answer to these things, but when I say it, it's just another opportunity for your brain to be a little bit more objective, right? But you already know these things, I bet. You know, I probably didn't need to tell you. So I like what your question is asking, and I think I know what you're trying to do, right? But you also need to understand that the scenario and the data that you're presented with is ultimately going to give you the edge. Yeah. Did that make sense though, Pumper Dave? Like, am I making it up or is it by the book? Leaving single prints behind would maintain bearish edge, right? Do you want underwater shorts with you if you want to take a short? Right? What kind of hidden bear div would you want to see if it's going to make a lower high? MSX says, Kimba, what would be a retrace level in BTC? Well, make sure you get caught up because we had a really nice discussion about if you wanted to short how and what data would be relevant. Emazek, if I were you, I would rewind. Yeah. So were you here? Like, what's one of the first things that I ask you guys to do when there's a bottom that comes in? Is that good or bad? Do you think that's gonna get swept or no? Right. Same with CME. Like, is that something that you think is gonna get cleaned or no? Right? Were you here when I said that there's about 70 million, right? 67 plus 6.6. So like there's 73 million in bottom shorts. Were you here in the morning when we talked about all this? So make sure you get caught up, okay? MSX says, I'm just scalping long for TP. Yeah, so you want to get structure. Do you remember what structure we talked about? You know, it depends on if you want that sweep or not, right? Do you have structural edge? Do you have open interest edge? Do you know that we were talking about like $100 million in shorts getting trapped here, like, I don't know, 10 o'clock in the morning 8 hours ago? You got 73 minutes. How many of you guys remember when I was just casually talking about, hey, like what happens if you get a, you clean that, you get structure and you get $100 million in shorts right there. Right? So it all depends on the data, brother. If we do this and you get structure and we go up here, right? And first off, if you're going to short, do you want to leave the single prints or do you want to grab all of them? Right? We talked about all that. So if these shorts, if 73 million in shorts, okay, we go up here and they're still underwater, are you going to TP your long? Are you going to open a short? So we talked about this hours ago, MEXC. Isn't that crazy that we were talking about $100 million in shorts coming in, cleaning that, getting structural edge? We were talking about this like 6-7 hours ago, and you have 73 million in shorts right there. You had 150, 170, 175, 171 million in longs stopped out right there. So from an open interest perspective, don't I always talk about I want longs to get stopped out and bottom shorts to come in? So levels are there for you, but you got to be able to read the data, MEXC. Sounds good. These were things that we talked about 6-7 hours ago before, but are you going to take the long or short if it happens during this hour, during Macaulay when CME is paused? So, yeah, lots of data to look at. I can't stress enough, the easiest time to trade would be to just wait until tomorrow's RTH. I'm more concerned about gathering the data on where the CME ETH gap could be. All right. And so what? You're looking for a long, right? MEXC? Yeah, you could try the 85. It's controversial. I think half the people are going to be okay with longing 85. Half of people are going to wait for lower. And there's really no right or wrong. I mean, we can all see clearly that longs got stopped out and there's bottom shorts, right? Can you tell me if there's a hidden bull div? Can you tell me if there's a hidden bull div from here to here? Is it, is the RSI looking like that? Too bad, right? Too bad, like this isn't like this, right? That would have been really nice, right? Yeah, so it's a little bit hard. Like I'm already in a scalp short, MEXC. I got stopped out on the long, if you were following along, but I got stopped out on the long, tiny P, and we talked about this as a preparatory thing, but failed auction. So like this. So from high to low, pixel perfect, right? And there were people asking me, so like on a failed auction, when the highs are bad like that, am I shorting that? Nope, never. But there you can, if you go back and look at some of the chat, people were already asking me, hey, are you taking this short? I tried. I didn't get the retest that I wanted. If it had done this, you guys already know that I'm in that short. Right? This is what I do thousands and thousands of times. So couldn't get exactly what I wanted. But that being said, it was the RTH. This is RTH, right? Look at the bottom right, RTH, right? So this is your RTH gap. Okay, so we wanted the dip and tip, but once there was no chance of doing that and you start spending time like this, then, value area high, bearish retest, but also just market smashing that is fair game, right? It's only just a matter of, do you think you're going to get a bearish retest on that VWAP? Yes or no? Okay. And whether it's RTH gap on Friday or RTH gap on this Monday, the way you play it is exactly the same. So Friday, I feel like it was a pop quiz or a test on how well you know RTH gaps. Same thing with today. Alrighty. Brent says, you said that if BTC bounced while SEMA is closed, it's bullish, but why are you thinking this way? Just basic strategy. Yeah, that kind of question tells me you need to go read. You got to nerd out, Brent. All right. But if the price pumps without even waiting for CME, it's bullish. If price dumps without even waiting for CME, it's bearish. Sounds good? Ephilion, the way you draw such straight lines raises some concerns. Yeah, and it's on a magic mouse too. Yep. Not Snoop, you good? Ghost BTC says not feeling the all gap is bullish right now. It's not right now, it's anytime. Yeah, I don't know what you don't know. If you were to really learn about CME gap play like in college, you would spend 4 to 6 months. Some of you guys have spent 30 seconds listening to what I say. I don't know what you don't know. Do you guys understand basic strategy? So goes BTC, whether it's a gap or a single print, if you don't clean all of the, if you don't restore equilibrium, then the edge is still there. So if you don't grab all of the single prints, for example, so this maintains bearish edge. This neutralizes bearish edge. Stream. All right, it'll be another laptop stream tomorrow. Hopefully I can get the desktop up and running by Thursday. He reaving! Lions, have a great night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace, everybody. Have a great night. He reaving!